Good evening, welcome back to Innsbruck. I'm Charlie Bosco, have Mike Langley alongside me this evening. Now we know the boulder champions, we know the speed climbing champions. Today we decide our first lead world champions. And this time up first, it's the Youth B category. That is the youngest climbers represented here in Innsbruck. Climbers born in 2002 or 2003, and we had some quite unusual results in the semi-final earlier on today. No less than 13 climbers through in the men's side, just the normal 8 in the women's side. And it's like World Cup rules, it's the higher you get, the better. And there we can see our wall here in Innsbruck, bathed in spotlights. And there we can see the first 10 climbers out in this Youth B final. As I said, 13 climbers through in the men's competition, and there they are. We had a massive tie in 8th place earlier on today. Let's have a look at the women. As I say, just the 8 women that we'd normally expect in a lead final. No less than 4 Japanese climbing there. So the climbers are currently observing the routes. It's men on the left following that big line of black volumes just to the right of the centre of the wall here in Innsbruck. And then the women are on the right along those blue triangular volumes on the far right of the wall. Furthest right route on the wall is the women, and as I say, the men just to the right of centre on the black volumes. Very volume heavy wall here in Innsbruck.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about the routes here for the final is it's going to be a tough route read. Even for us, we're up on a platform quite a few metres off the ground, and it's hard to see exactly where the holds are on the volumes. The guys have got the black volumes with black holds on, and the girls have got the blue volumes with blue holds on. So the route setters have employed quite a lot of tick marks on the route. Hopefully we'll see some of the shots of that later. The tick marks really helping show the climbers where the holds are. Some really blind moves. So it's going to be tricky route read, and the climbers head off from their observation period. Just 6 minutes they've had. Tim Hatch there, the jury president, just ushers the climbers off the stage. They always try and get one sneaky final look.
Yeah, I think one of those small mirrors on the end of a walking pole would sell like hotcakes amongst IFSC lead athletes. Could have one final look as you walk off the stage. But yeah, that is them done for observation. And as Mike mentioned, all the holds that are bolted onto these volumes are actually the same colour as the volumes themselves, and even when you chat to the route setters and they talk you through where the extra bolt-on holds are, there are that many, it's nigh on impossible, certainly in 6 minutes, to remember where they all are, even when you have the route setters telling you. So I think for the climbers, and to an extent for us, even having talked to the route setters, there's an element of discovery.
Well, I think it's kind of that on-site nature of the game really comes into play here. I think looking at the routes, I think there's not too many trick moves. However, I think the routes are relatively basic in their nature. They're very aesthetic routes. They look absolutely stunning alongside the wall here. It looks like they've done a fantastic job for the finals. The crowd, is a pretty large crowd here, considering it's the first finals in the lead competition. But the routes themselves look like the actual read of the moves may be okay. Time's going to tell. Just out of shot there, I think we're actually looking at the very final bit of the hold. You can see there, the top hold is actually a huge jug, but it's completely upside down. So I'm really excited to see if anybody can get to that. Absolutely bizarre last move. It was super, super cool. So we can see someone firing into an upside down jug to finish, or falling out of it equally so.
Especially aesthetic routes here in Innsbruck that we've been set. We had 2 semi-finals earlier. These climbers who we're about to see, we had their semi-final, Youth B. We also had Junior, the oldest category of climber here in Innsbruck, climbers born 98 or 99. And in both competitions we had a lot of men qualifying due to ties. 13 now, and in the juniors it was 12 men went through. So slightly problematic results for the route setters. I'd be interested to know how many changes they made to the routes. They were certainly working on them until pretty much the last minute. Didn't have that much time to chat to Mike and I. But as I say, they've certainly laid on something very aesthetic.
Well, just come in there, Charlie. Just looking at the scores going through from the semi-final, it's actually 13 climbers in the men. It's only 4 scores in total difference. There's a 34 plus, there's 2 climbers on 36 plus, 2 on 37 plus, and 2 on 38 plus. So Yeah, they got separation through the top few, but a lot of tyres going into the final. That's going to be critical. And yeah, we really do hope they've got it right, but time's going to tell. It's so difficult. Climbers, you know, we said it in the streams if you watched it earlier on today, just how many times we see tyres, we see climbers falling off in the same spot. It's just, I wouldn't want to say an impossible task, but it's nigh on impossible to get the perfect split every single time.
And again, we were talking about this earlier. This is the hardest age category to set for the Youth B. You know the least about them because they haven't been competing in Senior World Cups. They haven't been. This might be their first time in a Youth World Championship, depending on whether they're born in 2002 or 2003. You might have seen them in action once or twice before, be able to dig up a bit of YouTube footage. But basically, you don't know a huge amount about a lot of the climbers, and also the nature of their age means that the difference in physical size and development between the climbers can be absolutely enormous. So probably the hardest category to set for. And I was just about to say, we talked about how many ties there were. There are also climbers tied on 33 plus, there were 3 there, and a climber on 32. So we could have ended up with even more than 13 climbers into the final. Either way, it provides us with plenty of entertainment. And just to let you know how they're going to run it, they're going to try and judge it here so that both finals start and finish at the same time. And what that'll mean is that they will try and time the women so that the women maybe have 5-minute breaks in between each attempt, but they're going to try and get the finals to start and finish at roughly the same time, within reason. But what we're not going to see is 5 men climbing and then nothing at all, and then men and women climbing at the same time. The IFSC officials will try to get the finals to run to roughly the same time, which, given that there's 13 men and 8 women, could be quite the challenge.
Could be the challenge, but makes it sort of entertaining throughout the evening. We don't have a big gap at the start or at the end. We talked a lot earlier about how difficult it is to set for this category, and Connor Herson then from Team USA is the smallest athlete. Just looking at the observational lineup, he's the smallest out of the men or the women, so he's absolutely tiny, Connor. So yeah, we saw an incredible performance from him in the semi-final round. He really has all the tricks in the book, makes the most of everything he's got. And yeah, he put in an absolutely stellar performance, one of 6 climbers to score 34 plus. Just 4 moves ahead was the difference between 13th and first position going through, so not a huge difference between them.
Yeah, of course, being tall not the be-all and end-all. Some guy called Ramane who would tell you that. Saki Kikuchi, meanwhile, is out onto the women's route. Women bottom right of your screen as it stands, and Connor taking centre stage in the middle, and both climbers pretty much level with each other on the wall right now. Remember, 6 minutes they have here. We don't have a clock view, unfortunately, because the climbers are not starting at uniform times. They're not coming out one at a time.
So you can see, sorry to interrupt, you can just see Connor just struggling a little bit on this next hold, just finding the options. Skips out the option of going right. That was good tactics. He did have a lower right foothold there that he opted not to use. Just coming to how bad that match hold was. It's absolutely terrible, but that's where his smaller fingers are really going to come to an advantage. I think we could see some initial really hard moves here, and he moves into a section of flat hold volumes. There's an absolute stack of them coming up.
Just to give you some idea of where he's up to there, that is hold 11, and he's about to grab hold 12. There it is, out of 42, just so you can get some bearing on how far up the route Connor is at this stage. Just to give you some idea in the women's route as well, that's hold 18 out of 43 that Saki Kikuchi is currently on. MC again earning his money, getting the crowd to cheer, and Connor just beginning to fight now through these volumes.
On the bottom right hand of your side of your screen, you can see Saki Kikuchi looking very casual at the moment, taking a long rest, and it's into the next set of flat hold volumes for Connor on the left hand side. Goes well into the undercup section. He's fitting into these gaps absolutely perfectly at the moment, Connor. Obviously be so light at such a young age, such a short in stature. Really adds to his character.
So now he gets something resembling a rest. It's a physical section, that lots of open hand moves. He's onto those 2 triangular volumes, which holds 19 and 20. And once again, it's open hand strength.
Both climbers going really well here, both of them roughly halfway up on the wall. looking really casual as well. It's an early indicator of how hard this route is. Connor firing up left, makes another big move. Such strength, so steep that bit of wall. Also on the right hand side, climbers pretty much neck and neck on the wall, putting on a really good show here at the start of the finals. Connor's looking for the rollover now. Now it gets a bit more physical. Now he's got to make a jump. On the right hand side as well, Japanese athlete looking really, really solid. Saki and Connor going toe to toe here. This is looking really good start. Could be in for an early shout here for Saki Kikuchi. She's looking so solid right now. Connor's also found a rest. Brilliant drop knee on the right foot here for Connor, manufacturing a fantastic rest off the volume.
Well, it was Japanese athletes 1, 2 and 3 in the Youth B bouldering final, and Saki Kikuchi took the bronze. And she's looking pretty handy in the lead as well.
I think the route set is going to get extremely nervous right now. We have 8 female climbers into the final, and the first one out comes very close to the top of the wall. There is a few moves still available up there. Interesting to see how that pans out. Connor meanwhile on the left, still fighting hard. Big crowd has developed now, coming out of the climbing centre to watch Connor. This is a really good fight. He really deserves every bit of achievement and encouragement he's getting here. Somehow he keeps fighting. This is brilliant.
It's only 10 more moves to the top for Connor. He's on to the very last panel once he gets his feet to where his hands are now. That is the final panel, the Innsbruck wall here. And what a fight from Connor Herson. First out was that slap for the right hand. I'm pretty sure that'll be a 34 plus for him. And you can see that the route setters have picked a not especially overhanging section of the wall for both climbers. You can see Connor still not that far from his belay. It's unrelenting, but it's not especially steep in any one section.
It's really hard to know at this stage in the competition, because sometimes the athletes who come out first tend to put on a really good show. Come back to that in a second. You can have a look at the fight here from Connor. Has a quick draw right in front of him, goes for one more move, just misses it. Tick mark on the hold there, you can see indicating where the good bit of the hold is. To me that tick looks a tiny bit off to the left of centre. Route setters obviously know what they're doing, they put it in the right spot hopefully, otherwise that would be pretty mean to put a tick mark to the wrong location. But what I was saying is the first climbers out have put in really good burns. On the women's route, just 9 moves from the top, and men's roughly 10 moves from the top, so route setters going to be living life by the edge of their seats tonight and gone for a really close finals.
Yeah, it was a 34 plus for Connor Herson there.
Connor Herson matched his qualifying of 34 plus in both semi-finals and the final, so consistency is key for him.
Yeah, the first 6 climbers out in the men's final were 34 plus in the semi. Lustuari, she had the lead for quite some time in the women's semi-final earlier on today. Ended up with a 38 plus, tied with Lucie Watillon of Belgium. Johannes Hofher of Austria is out onto the men's route. Like always, you can get in touch with us on Twitter. New hashtag for these championships, hashtag IFSC YWCH. IFSC YWCH Youth World Championship. Let us know your thoughts. We always welcome predictions, even though I've long since given up making them my own. More than happy to read out other people's.
So I'm going to put my neck on the line early here and say that I think these routes potentially have been undercooked slightly, especially on the right hand side on the women's route. Unless the Japanese athlete had an absolute flyer out the traps, it's going to be interesting to see, but I think it could be a little bit easy. The way that she made the moves look, it really didn't look like she struggled that much. I mean, yeah, that is the Japanese style, to kind of cruise all the time, but yeah, like I said, put my neck on the line. I think this might be a little bit undercooked, and we might be seeing somebody flying into the undercut jug to finish.
Certainly could be the case. Time will tell, of course. Saki Kikuchi, as I said, 3rd in the bouldering earlier this week, 4th in the Asian Youth Championships in Singapore in the bouldering, 5th in the lead, 11th in the speed, a real superb all-round athlete. So time will tell whether that is just a superb effort for Saki Kikuchi or whether you're right. Again, the crowd implored to give the climbers some support. Johannes Hofher of Austria. Now midway up this men's route. Luce Duardi, as I said, that the organisers were trying to run it so that the finals would last roughly the same time.
Luce Duardi going for the double there. We didn't see that from the Japanese athlete. Didn't think she was going to go for it initially, but had the confidence just to fire for it. Interesting to see if that's a feature of the finals route here for the Youth B. That was a really good effort, the way she fired to that with confidence. So both climbers finding a couple of good rests. Luce found hers 3 or 4 moves below. Johannes Hoffer then doing really well, but starting to struggle a little bit into the top third of the route. Tick mark showing in the way. On the bottom right of your screen, you can see him starting to fight now. Feet are skittering a little bit. Into some pretty decent 3-finger jugs up there. Oh, and a great effort. That's exactly the same place as we lost Connor. That'll be 34 plus. Luce Duardi then, it's all attention on her for now. Trying to manufacture another rest, starting to struggle. Missed that hole slightly, looking for the foot options. Goes for the clip very quickly. She could be in a bit of trouble here.
Yeah, it doesn't look like the most comfortable position to clip from. She was kind of in a sitting position. Hips right underneath her arm. There's a lot of strain going through your arm in that position. But now she's finding her way onto the upper section. This is a final panel. The wall does not change angle after that handhold that she's currently got her left hand on, but she needs to find a way to clip, and she needs to find a way to progress, and she cannot.
Yeah, she just struggled with that. She struggled with the quick draw before and then got to that stage, struggled with that one, just went for the next move anyway, and at that stage, she felt like she obviously knew that she was high up on the wall, but she may have felt like if I just get one more move, that might be enough to put me onto the podium. Time's going to tell. Like I said, we think this is going to be a very close show here, and that's what the route says. Sometimes they have to make a decision. Do they want to go for a hard finals, guarantee a result, or do they want to put on a super duper show and try and get people falling off the last, or matching the last hold? Topping the route, clipping the chains. The crowd always love to see tops though, so yeah, it depends what sort of mood they were in when they were setting these. Will be friendly or not.
So you can see there on the men's route on the black holes, Hamish MacArthur. There he is.
Hamish then surprised to get through to the final in many ways. His coach just looked up at the board just as we went past him and said, oh, Hamish has scraped through with 34 plus. Obviously joined 6 other athletes to get through at the time. He looked pretty disappointed, but then as the results started to come in, it was clear that he's pushed through to the finals, and his coach was really looking for him to get there tonight. This is a tricky move then, just off this. That's interesting. Hamish crimps the top of that left hand Gaston, goes up to the right hand, and we saw the smaller climber having to find a different method. Connor Hurson going out left first and then bumping into the right hold. So Connor really, you can see, it really has a really methodical style, very slow and controlled. Uses his long limbs to his advantage. It's been a good showing here from the Great British team throughout the semi-finals. Quite a lot of technical support here for them as well, which is excellent. Starting on the bottom right of your screen there, you can see the athlete from Belgium, Lucie Watillon.
Hamish, no issues so far through the first dozen or so moves.
Hamish has made a number of finals before, so I'm imagining he'll be comfortable in this situation. The pressure of the crowd, the music, the spotlights. A number of good results, a 5th and a 4th, 2 5ths in fact, in the lead European Youth Cups in 2017, so made a number of finals. Obviously lucky to scrape through here, one of 6 climbers to get the same score. Hamish just stalling out at the bottom here, taking on some chalk, taking time to rest. So it's fairly decent in-cut holds all the way up this route by these climbers' standards anyway. Route obviously be massively difficult for most of us out there. Drags a nice toe hook under the right foot on the flat hole volume, firing off those Really got to keep the heels down when you're pushing off these spears on top of the volumes, make sure you get maximum rubber contact. She's surprisingly difficult to stand on, even if they are quite large. It's quite difficult to push the weight through the feet. Nowhere to stand. Hamish then quite slow up to this point. Looking good, big stretch for the quick draw.
Yeah, really awkward place to clip from.
Did well off the right heel hook there, cuts loose now, big cross through. This is a great section of climbing here.
I think one thing that's tough sometimes as a recreational climber to grasp is when you climb at this level, the clip is a move in itself really. You can destroy your effort by clipping in the wrong place. If you're used to climbing at lower grades and you can clip from anywhere, it's different, but really figuring out how to do it efficiently at this level is a major part of the route.
Lucy Watillon down there on the right hand side of the screen had a really good jump there. She went to the sort of dyno with the right hand, realised she was in a bit of trouble, managed to bring the left hand in time. That was a really good route reading, good thinking from the athlete from Belgium. As Hamish MacArthur then is pushing up. It's the next move where we lost the two previous athletes. Looks for foot option, gets the right heel, yes, secures the hold, that's a new high point. Hamish puts himself into the lead at the moment. Hamish pushing towards the top here, looking pumped now though. He's got a big crossover move, looks for his option to the clip. Now he's in trouble. Oh, it's a good burn from Hamish. Well done, Hamish MacArthur, he'll be happy with that. Be interesting to see where that puts him, but I think trying to read from his body language, he probably knows that the route is not as difficult as he may have expected, not anywhere as difficult as we saw in the semi-final. We didn't see any tops in the male semi-final in this Youth B category, but it's all eyes now on Lucy Watillon as she pushes towards the high point. This is where it really kicks in now then.
Yeah, she'll need to go on to that next panel. She's got a couple of moves yet before the high point, but she's getting very close. She's making progress towards it. She'll clip there. That hold above the roof, number 33. Got Luce Duardi in second place. We got 33 plus moving off this hold.
Oh, she had it for a second. I thought she might have been able to catch it. She did a really good work of the left heel there. She managed to get a really high left heel hook that put her into a great position. Managed to, I think, she was really pumped by that stage, but putting that heel hook in just gave her 1.5 extra moves. So that was good thinking. Interesting to see exactly where that puts her.
Let's have a look at the ranking. That should put her into second, I would imagine. Hamish MacArthur taking the lead there, 36 plus. Johannes Hoffer and Connor Herson tied on 34 plus. Niccolo Balducci, Italy, climbs in the spotlight here in Innsbruck, one of the world's great climbing towns. And they know their stuff here, and they produce one or two handy climbers of their own.
Well, I think with a facility like this as well, they'll most definitely be providing a few extremely good athletes in the years to come as well, and these are the guys who are going to be pushing for those senior World Cup positions, fighting for their position on the national teams to get into those senior squads, and they're all training like mutants this summer in this new facility.
It would actually be an interesting study to calculate World Cup medals won per town in the world. I'm certain Innsbruck would come out on top from what with Anna Stor and Jakob Schubert just in recent times. Names going much further back than that, but there would certainly be an interesting stat. What is the world's most successful climbing town? As I say, I think this place here in the Tyrol,
yeah, you would have
be
thought
right up there.
A few athletes on the bouldering squad who now currently live in Fontainebleau. You've got to imagine there's a few winners in there. I know Molly Thompson-Smith, GB team, lives in London. She's won a Youth World Cup before. There's a few in there.
Mike Langley, of course, being from, you guessed it, London. If someone's got the time, get yourself on Wikipedia and figure that one out. Someone do the maths.
I'm sure Graham Alderson will be sitting at home in Sheffield now. He must have that on his computer somewhere. So come on, Graham.
He's forgotten more about climbing stats than most people know. So Futaba Ito is out. looked absolutely wonderful in the bouldering earlier this week. Topped all 4 boulders in the final. No one else could do that. She took the gold medal.
Niccolo Balducci then really struggled with one of the lower quick draws. I think it was the 6th clip, and he sort of really hesitated through that section, burnt a lot of energy through there, but he seems to have recovered himself slightly. Now picks up the pace through this next section. We talked a lot about the clipping already and how it really adds a move, but these guys, they train the clipping so much. They could clip, you know, just hundreds of quick draws as part of their training, thousands of quick draws. And you can see the way they move the rope up to the quick draw, and if you're recreational climbing at home, that is a really key aspect, getting really fast clips. There is actually a number of methods you can use with the hand grip on the quick draw, and these guys go for what I call the Adam Ondra clipping method. It's a, yeah, we'll try and see a couple of methods there, but it's something that he really kind of took on as a method of clipping. So really, really fast clips. More of a conventional clip there from Niccolo. Fighting into the top third then, hesitating a little bit, looking for the heel hook options. We lost 2 climbers on this next move in the men's category. Hamish MacArthur, the only one to secure this right hand hold properly. No such problems for Niccolo Balducci. This is looking good. Hesitating slightly, he's got to make a big move up. Just drags it, but manages to bump it into the full crimp. Big crossover move now. This is where we lost Hamish, and we lose Niccolo as well. Good burn from him. He was part of the group of 6 climbers with 34 plus leading into this. Just 3 or 4 moves off of the top of the route. Could be seeing some tops here, and with ties coming from the semi-final round, 2 climbers on 38 plus, 2 37 plus, and 2 36 plus. Time could end up being a factor here, so we're going to have to try and keep an eye on that as well as the top climbers come into the competition. But we concentrate on the moment. It's Vitabi Ito.
Yeah, still only midway up the route. You suspect time could become an issue because we've got the climbers staggered like this. We don't have a public clock, if you like, visible to the public. It would be too confusing about which clock applied to which climber. Obviously the judges have a clock running, but we don't have access to it when the climbers start in a staggered fashion like this, like in a semi-final. Obviously in a World Cup final we watch 1 climber at a time. Here in Innsbruck we're watching 2. Right now though, it's all about Futaba Ito, and she looks as if she's beginning to get tired. She's had a busy week, of course, winning gold in the bouldering. Competed in the speed as well, albeit without making the final.
There's a big media crew here following Futaba, so it'd be interesting to see if she's dealt with that well. She's gone through the bouldering like Charlie said, and now she's tackling the routes. And we lost a few athletes on this move that she's managed to kill, but it's the next move. This is looking really good now. That's the new high point. She's currently in first position, heading towards the top of the wall. 5 moves left after this one. See what she's up against up there, just guppying these blue pill volumes, just wrapping the tops of them. How bad these holds are.
She's on to the final panel here in Innsbruck. The MC cheers her on, so do Team Japan. You can probably hear them behind me. Above those 2 square volumes is the top hold. It's a really strange top hold. Undercut.
Here we go then into the top move. Can she figure it out? Goes for the high feet. That's what she needs to do. She's going to have to backhand it. Oh, snares it. Brilliant. What a fantastic climb and a fantastic top from the Japanese athlete. Tops the final route here in Youth BE. Can't ask for more than that. Wins the bouldering, tops the final. This is really interesting now. An early top. 1 climber who scored 39 plus going through from the semi-finals. 4 climbers still to go, and we found a top already in the women's competition. Really, really interesting now. I wonder if the route setters are getting nervous.
Nue Muto, he just has to concentrate on what he's doing now. Try not to let the adrenaline that is probably coursing through plenty of the spectators affect him. And he finds himself closing in on the midway point of this men's final route. Top of your screen there. There's the results. Futaba Ito, top. Second place, Saki Kikuchi, 35, and Luce Duardi rounding out the top 3 as it stands. Of course, an awfully long way to go.
It was a fantastic moment there. Just had a look behind me, and as Futaba Ito walked off, it was Yuji Hirayama, the Japanese legend, kind of one of the ultimate competition climbers and rock climbers, giving her a round of applause as she walked off, sitting right at the front of the wall, enjoying his spectating here at Yuji as part of Team Japan's setup. Great to have that level of support behind you. No wonder Team Japan are dominating the sport at the moment.
It's a French climber we're watching now, though. Noe Muto. It's France, not too shabby themselves as a sport climbing and competition climbing country, but as Mike said, right now Japan seemingly in control, particularly in the bouldering, and increasingly in the lead. And we've just seen a top from Futaba Ito. And Noe off around hole 28-29. That will be enough for him to be in 5th out of 5, unfortunately, at this stage. Vanda Michokova, Slovakia, on the stage.
So Vanda Michokova then tied with Futaba coming into this round with a 39 plus. So now, if it comes down to podium positions, it will come back down to time now. Well, it will come back down to time if we find more tops. So the judges are getting hot on the stopwatches now. Got a number of them down there, a whole raft of officials looking into this. Hard for us to know the time, as Charlie said. We've got 2 climbs climbing at different times. Hard for us to know exactly what the time was.
Yeah, we can go off the ranking that we're provided with, and I'll try my best to find out the times for you.
To be honest, it is a real shame when it comes down to time. I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It was a fantastic climb for the Japanese athlete, but yeah, if it does come down to that, you know, nobody really wants to see that. We don't really want to see the routes coming down to, you know, the speed that they climb the route. That's not what this game's about. It's about difficulty and endurance. We've seen that not only here, but we may see it here, but we've seen it in the Chamonix earlier in the lead finals for the senior climbers as well. And yeah, that's not really what we want to see. But let's see. Like I said, let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet.
Yeah, just quickly, because we did have so many ties coming in from the semi-finals, just quickly read you the rules. 6.10.4. No count back to the results of the qualification round shall be made where competitors were separated into 2 starting groups for the qualification round. So if the climbers who are tied in this evening's final and this afternoon's semi-final, there will be no count back to the qualifying round. Remember, that only affects climbers in podium positions. If the climbers are tied in the final and the semi-final, but they finish lower than the podium positions, they are tied in the rankings. Only comes down to time if you're in a podium position. We hope it doesn't come to that, but given the number of ties we had, particularly in the men's competition, it's unfortunately a possibility. But Tim Bucher, the last of the 34 plus 6 from the semi-final, the 6 climbers who were tied on 34 plus. So, as I say, if they were tied in the semi-final and the final, it will come down to time if it's to decide a podium position. Otherwise, they will be ranked equally. I just know those rules off the top
I was
of my
going to
head.
say, Charlie Bosco always got the massive IFSC rule book sitting beside his desk.
Well, I just moved it off my bedside table just for this evening. So, Tim Bucher, very tall, especially for this age group. Seemingly untroubled. We haven't had a top in the men's route, of course. We have in the women's. Vanda Michokova up next. Futaba Ito already topped. Just the normal 8 climbers here in the women's final. 13 in the men's. Lots of ties coming through from the men's. We also have ties further down the order. And Hidemasa Nishida, Xander Waller tied. Colin Duffy, Alberto Hines Lopez tied from the semi-final. Let's keep an eye on Vanda Michokova. Just needs to line this one up, steady herself, and has done. Nicely done. Looked like she was just slightly losing control of her attempt there. Up to hole 29.
Vanda Michokova then struggling a little bit compared to the Japanese athlete we saw up here. Futaba really having to fight through this section. It shows you really how difficult it is. See, the route setters have got a thumb catch on there just to try and improve the hold on the volume there, but sometimes depending on your hand side means you can use it or not. She drops into it nicely this time. She didn't get it in perfectly the first time round. just drops into the match, and now she's into the really hard climbing. On the bottom right of your screen then, Tim also looking really solid now. Getting that hole puts him into equal second position, I believe, or third. Oh, just drops off that. It was a good fight. Oh, both climbers off at very similar times. Vanda Michałkova comes down. Tim Bucha comes down. So maybe it's not as easy as we initially thought. It's really coming down to the mentor. It's really coming down to the last 2 or 3 moves. It's going to be really tight up there. It's going to be really super interesting.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's going to be tight in the men's competition. Let's just have a quick look at Tim Bucha's last few moves. So he's just repositioning. I think he just pretty much powered out. There's no obvious slip there, and the rope was in a bit of an awkward position, just trapped underneath his right foot.
Yeah, maybe the rope just dragged him back a tiny bit, but he just came short on the hold, realistically. I think that was the major problem. Such terrible holds up there, you know, but that stage in the route is absolutely grim.
It's interesting, actually, the difference that experience makes. We talk in sport, in fact, in all things in life, about 10,000 hours. And when you watch the really top league climbers who've been doing this 10 years and more, you very rarely see incidents like that where people are catching the rope. They just might be something they just notice, a subtlety in their movement. They might just flick the rope one move earlier. But it looked like Tim Bucha there, as I say, perhaps not quite getting as much out of his right foot as he would have done without the rope there. So Andrej Slezak of the Czech Republic onto the wall. Yeah, just to confirm, Tim Bucha, 35 plus for him, so it's definitely that section around hold 30 to 37 that's so far separating the climbers. Noé Muto currently on 29 plus in 6th place, and leading the way at 36 plus, Nicolo Balducci. So it's that series of 7 moves right now that's proving the crux. If you're just tuning in, Charlie Bosco and Mike Langley here live, Youth B final. Innsbruck Youth World Championships 2017. There's a Youth World Championships every year. Last year in Guangzhou, China. Here we are in the Tyrol region of Austria. And these are the youngest climbers in the competition, born 2002 or 2003.
Just as a cameraman clatters his way past us to use the maximum height advantage of the platform that we're using here. Some fantastic views here this evening. Obviously, it has descended into darkness. It makes the wall look amazing. The mountains behind can no longer see anymore, just the stars of the night. Absolutely brilliant setting here. Another fantastic competition venue here on the IFSC Tour. So Andrej Slezak then 4th in IMPS in 2017, so he'll be looking to better that and get himself onto a podium here. Can he find one more position, one more move than the opposition and push himself onto a podium position? He's looking really good so far. One of the larger climbers in this category. The height difference between him and the first climber out, Connor Hurton, is absolutely staggering. Really interesting in these youth competitions how the height difference really has a huge factor to play. Didn't seem to hold back Connor too much though. Fantastic result for him, 34 plus his score at the moment. It's Andrej starting to look for different options, looking for the clips. Slight hesitation on that one.
Camille Pouget of France is on the women's route, approaching mid-height.
Oh, just sticks it with fingertips. Here, Andrej just, I was going to say, the head tilts back. Sure side is right on the edge, right on the limit, hitting the red line there. And he just comes off on the next move, really puffing as he comes down. It was a fantastic burn.
That should put him, I believe, in 4th. Camille Pouget, meanwhile, that is pretty much halfway up this women's route, very close to it. Already been topped for Taba Ito, the bouldering champion. Could she do the double? It's been done before, twice. by Ashima Shirashi.
Got your legends mixed up there a little bit. It's easily done.
She's really battling now, though. You can see the release almost of tension every time she gets the next hold. Now looking smooth again, though. That physical section seemed to take its toll, but it's almost as if the next move is just a bit easier and she just refound some composure.
She's looking high, but she's got quite far past the quick draw now. She needs to focus on that, needs to head down and get it clipped. Maybe she'll pull the quick draw into the rope. As long as she doesn't wait the quick draw, that is fine.
Well, we were talking about the fact that at this level, clipping is a move in itself. And Camille Pouget has slightly climbed herself into a hole here, but nicely done. Solves the problem, and just as an added bonus, gets another clip as well from exactly the same position.
You see it a lot with these youth climbers. She's really crimped down the left-hand volume there, the left-hand sloper, excuse me, rather than kind of holding it as a conventional pinch. And this is an incredible show of endurance here from Camille. Keeps fighting. This is absolutely stunning. The way she struggled with that clip and has managed to keep it together is fascinating. Oh, it's a great burn. She's going to be kicking herself about that clip. I think without that, she could have done a lot more.
Yeah, she just had a bit of a bad minute, really. She had a couple of moves that just looked a bit rushed, and you could see she was jerking, slapping at the holds. Regained her composure and then had the problem with the clip, and by then she'd used a lot of energy. But superb effort nonetheless from Camille. This man here, Rei Kawamata, won the bouldering competition. We've already seen his compatriot Futaba Ito, who won the women's bouldering competition earlier this week, and here he is in the lead final. Could he do the double?
So Rei's the first climber to get out of that tied group of 6 with 34 plus coming from the semi-final round. He scored 36 plus, so 2 more moves on from him. So he's into the top of the competition then, going by the semi-finals results. But we've already seen some really good results here. In the final, it's 36 plus that leads the way. Niccolo Balducci and Hamish MacArthur are up there at the moment. Quite a few climbers still to come. 6 left after this go.
And interestingly enough, in the women's competition, only Natsuki Tani and Mori still to come, both of Team Japan. So that means that Futaba Ito, with her top already guaranteed at least a podium, she will take a medal in 2 disciplines here in Innsbruck. But what colour will the second one be?
And assuming that she entered the speed competition, we'll check that. She will be entered into the combined Olympic format event that was going to be happening this weekend, the first time that the Olympic format has ever been shown at an IFSC event. So we're looking forward to that this weekend. Hopefully you can join us on the live stream pretty much all day Saturday, most of the day Sunday. We're looking forward to seeing what happens in this overall event. 6 of these climbers in each of the category will go through to the Olympic combined overall.
Just quickly on Futaba Ito, she did enter the speed climbing, finished 34th with a time of 13.98. She's got some work to do there. The big final was won in 8.84, so when you're only just sneaking under 14 seconds, she's got some work to do. Not too much wrong, it would seem, with her lead climbing and bouldering.
Well, that's one of the fascinating things going to be about this overall. Will 2 disciplines be enough to get you on the podium? Will it come down to 3?
Rei Kawamata, he's now getting very much into the business section of this men's route. We can see the previous high point now. It's in our shot. That's hole 36. If he can latch the next one, he will take the lead from Niccolo Balducci.
Oh, it looked like he was going to go left hand for a second, then opted for the big crossover, and it's really tough, that move, because there's no right foot. It's all about the left hand and the left foot. Incredibly difficult move to make the rollover on. Not seen a climber successfully snare that right hold yet.
Well, he will take the lead on count back to the semi-final, but he's not got a clean lead here. He's not progressed any further up the route than anyone else. Let's see as the scores update, just confirm that for you. Meanwhile, Natsuki Tani, here she is on the women's route. 2nd place for her in the bouldering to Futaba Ito.
The top 2 Japanese then qualifying from the semi-final. This lady out, Natsuki Tani, really climbed superbly in the semi-finals. 7 moves above the next climber down. And Mori, 51, topped the route, the only top of the route. That's a staggering performance from her, so I'll be very surprised if we don't see either 2 tops here or 2 people very, very high up on the wall. Could be looking at a Japanese 1, 2, 3 here. Let's have a look. The time's going to tell.
There's Rei Kawamata, takes the lead, as I say, tied on score with Niccolo Balducci, but count back to the semi-final. We do hope that time doesn't become the deciding factor. It's nice when athletes get a clean win in the lead final, but if not, count back to the semi-final is a less satisfactory method, but still for me better than time, but they have to be split somehow. So with 5 climbers still to come in the men's competition, Rei Kawamata not guaranteed a place on the podium by any means. He is currently in the lead. Victor Bouldering of Canada is just begun climbing. You can see him there, the belayer's hand still visible. He gets the second quick drop. He's underway on his attempt. It was 36 plus for him in the semi-final. That was a tie with Rei Kawamata. Natsuki Tani, meanwhile, 46 plus in the semi-final. That was the second best effort. So if she can top the route, she'll take the lead. Had an excellent bouldering final, silver medal there. Futaba Ito already guaranteed at least 2 medals from the lead in the boulder, and we know that the bouldering one was gold. Natsuki Tani is very much in the hunt here. She's onto the final panel here in Innsbruck.
This is looking good. Goes for the match on that triangle that you can see her using there. It's almost a square volume actually, and yeah, she's looking really good here, not looking phased at all here on the route, chalking up with only 2 moves left to do.
This for the lead with 1 climber to go.
Eyeballs the undercut, oh, with ease from Natsuki. That was incredible performance, no issue whatsoever. Women's B, Youth B sees its second top. Smiles all round from Team Japan. It's another top. It's Natsuki Tani with 1 climber still to go.
This is Futaba Ito, will not do the double of lead and boulder wins. But as I've said, she's already guaranteed a podium. Let's concentrate on Victor. He's at mid-height on this men's route. Those 2 quite distinctive triangular volumes back to back mark the midpoint of the route. Up into hold 22. You can see there Natsuki Tani, she does take the lead on count back to the previous round. Mori, the only woman still to appear. Victor heading now onto the very steepest section of this men's route here in Innsbruck. Crosses through nicely. This is taking a lot out of him though.
Yeah, he really had to try on that cross-through move there. You can see it in his face. He hasn't hit that hold that he's on with the right hand properly. He adjusts it now. That's good climbing. Drops into the volume. He can just have a little rest. And I think it's this rest here that's really helping the climbers. It's by no means a set of jugs to rest on. Some climbers have managed to drop into that volume nicely and find a good rest. A little bit of trouble here, looking through his options. Drop the right knee, but needs to head for high and left. Oh, yeah, it wasn't meant to be for Victor. Really couldn't seem to find the sequence properly. Looked powered out through that lower section.
Should be 7th place for him as it stands. Extraordinarily enough, still got 4 climbers to come in the men's competition, and there you can see it. Natsuki Tani currently leading her compatriot. Japan made it 1, 2, 3 in the Youth B bouldering female category. Can they make it 1, 2, 3 in the lead as well? And there we see it. Victor, 8th for him.
3 tires going into the last 4 climbers in, and 36 plus. 2 of them are tied in the semi-final, so they possibly will have to be split by time. Final climber out then in the women's Youth B categories, Mori from Japan. the only climber to top the semi-final route earlier on this morning. An incredible show from her. Just a brilliant climb all the way through. Just looked like she had bags and bags of endurance. She was on a bit of a different planet to the other athletes. The next highest score was 46 plus. She went through with a top which was 51 moves. Staggering, really. If we don't see a top here, I'll be very surprised, but it's by no means an easy route. Two tops so far. Easy for what we wanted in terms of the competition, but yeah, by no means an easy climb. Staggering, these young climbers. Just the future is so bright for these lead climbers.
Xander Waller ready to climb on the men's route, bottom right of your screen. Finished 30th in the speed climbing, 19th in the bouldering, so lead already guaranteed to be his best result no matter what happens. 10.64 for him in the speed climbing, and interestingly enough in the bouldering he was the lowest placed of any climber with a top in the semi-final. Mori wearing number 283 is going for the win here. A top will win her the gold medal. A top will also guarantee that Japan wins gold, silver and bronze in Youth B bouldering for the women and Youth B lead for the women.
Just see the strength of Mori there. She's completely skipped the right hand hold. We saw other climbers jumping either a double or a 1-2 to that pair of holds. Just a lock off power as she reached up. That hold that she's got with her left hand at the moment, she went up with her right hand, matched it, skipped the right hand hold and moved straight on to the next right hand. Really good climbing, just a staggering level of strength. Showing that skill that got her through the semi-finals in first position, the final climber out then. Mori looking for the perfect competition, another top here at the Youth World Championships in Innsbruck.
She knows she can beat these climbers around her. She beat them at the Asian Youth Championships in Singapore back in July in this same category, Youth B lead. Only just missed out in the bouldering final, 7th place there. She is here to win, make no mistake about it. Xander Waller, those two triangular volumes I mentioned earlier, he's midway up the men's route. We will keep an eye on him, but right now Mori dominating the action because she is going for the win here. She's pulling on to the final panel here in Innsbruck.
Well, that was incredible, so risky. She missed the right hand, skipped the intermediate. She's really fighting now. The way that she fired up through that section was incredibly risky. All just an incredible show of strength. Mori then pushing towards the head, looking for the win, but has got a little bit of work to do here. The way that she jumped for that hold, that pinch by her right knee was staggering. Here she goes then, the top 3 or 4 moves. Mori for the win, the Youth B World Championships.
She'll be on the podium, we know that. She could be on the top step of it. That is the final quick draw before the top. Mori, that's the second to last hole before the top. The next one's the last one. There it is. Mori just needs to clip the quick draw and she will be crowned Youth World Champion.
She probably doesn't know it yet. She may be coming down thinking, well, that wasn't too bad. I wonder what's happened to the results. But surely, if she knows she's top, she knows she's won. Taking it all in her stride at the moment. Mori just looking super relaxed. Let's have a wait until she turns around and sees the crowd. The belayer knows it. She's smiling. The local MC gives her the big up, gives us a Yuji Iriyama in the background, cheering her on. Japanese 1, 2, 3, can't ask for more than that from Team Japan. Dominance once again, but it's all eyes now on Xander Waller from Team USA in the men's route.
Absolutely dominant Team Japan, top 3 top the route and no one else could manage it. They will be the podium. Japan does the clean sweep of Youth B medals in bouldering, women's and lead women's. Unbelievable dominance from them. Now Xander Waller, what can he do on the upper section of this men's route? The crowd now turn their attention to him, giving him a lot of support. You can hear Team USA behind me cheering him on.
This is the next move then. If Xander wants to push himself through. He matches that. That's clever. Good work. Hits a new high point. Match the hold that others fell off. Xander Waller then moves into the first position, heading to the top of the wall. He's got 4 moves to get there. He's looking pumped. He's looking for foot options. Fires up now. It's a terrible hole, but sticks it. Great angle of what we got to see is Xander Waller, Team USA screaming for him. 2 moves to the top. He's in big trouble now. He's looking for the options. Can he stick one more move? Lose him just at the top of the wall. Takes the applause. Great burn from Xander Waller. The 3 climbers still to go. Is it going to be enough?
Superb performance from him. You could tell he enjoyed it. That'll be, I think that'll be a 40 plus for Xander Waller, comfortably out in the lead, out on his own. And you can see there, Japan, they dominated Youth B Women's Bouldering, they dominate in the lead as well. Mori takes the gold medal, she'll be followed by Natsuki, Tani and Futaba Ito. And in the men's competition, we just wait for Xander Waller's score to come through. Stay with us while that updates. I believe it's 40 plus. It is, and he is in the lead. Only 3 climbers still to come, so if one of them can't match or better his score, he is guaranteed a podium at least. Rei Kawamata will not do the double of lead and boulder.
Now this men's competition's got super interesting. He was just 2 moves off excuse me, 2 moves off the top. With just 3 climbers still to go. Could be a fight for who can stick the finish hold and who can clip the final quick draw. Exciting finals here. 3 tops in the women's like we saw. Bit easy that route. Bit of a shame. It was only, well, if you top the route you got onto the podium. Easy way to split the well, easy way to find the podium positions, that's for sure. Shame it had to go to countback though.
True, but a good show for the crowd here in Innsbruck. And it's good to see the route get top, but as you say, it's always nice if just one climber gets it. Ideally the last one out for the sake of the show. Plenty of time left for a top in this men's competition. Hidemasa Nishida is out onto the route. Xander Waller will be watching this with his heart in his mouth.
I was going to say, for those watching at home, that's why it's important to climb really well in all of the rounds. The women were perfectly split going into the finals in the podium position, first, second and third. So those guys, they climbed really well in the semi-finals, and that's what determined their overall World Championships position. So not only is it about getting through to the finals, it's about getting through in the best possible position. Every round counts at these competitions.
Yeah, it's interesting. We sometimes hear in bouldering climbers say they try to calculate so that they climb in a position they like to climb in the order. But in lead climbing, where scores are much more often tied than they are in bouldering, as Mike says, you need to be absolutely on the point every single round. We've seen it so many times. Particularly, it seems, in the women's senior lead with Jenny Gambret and Anna Verhoeven and James Kin. They so often seem to be split by countback. You have to be absolutely on the money every round in the lead climbing. There's no cruising through.
Well, I think in bouldering there's more challenges to get different scores. With the route, it's just one route, just duke it out on that one route, and that's why you have to consider your position in each time you go onto a route.
That's it, yeah. Much less common to see tied scores, as Mike says. Hidemasa Nishida is midway up this route here. Speaking of tied scores, he did come into this final tied with Xander Waller. So if he matches Xander's high point, it will come down to time.
The bass actually rocking our camera slightly here. The DJ's enjoying himself.
Yeah, coming through our chairs as well. Everyone vibrated slightly here in the Kletterzentrum in Innsbruck. As the DJ turns up the bass, you can probably see the effect it's having on our cameras.
Funny thing is, that camera's actually quite a long way away from the sound system. It gives you an idea of how loud it is. Lucky we've got the headsets on in here in the commentary box. We are sitting right next to one of the speakers. Good tunes though, can't complain. Good climbing, that's for sure. Really enjoyed this final route for the Youth B. A lot to look forward to still. The end of this week, the end of this World Championships. More finals to come tomorrow.
So 40 plus the current high point set by Xander Waller. He was tied in the previous round with this man, Hidemasa Nishida. So if Hidemasa wants to take the lead, he has to get 40 plus faster than Xander Waller did, or get higher.
You can see Hidemasa here just looking at his options. He's not 100% sure of the sequence. Other guys have not matched that. Goes with the match, so makes it work. He just paused there, had to take a little bit of calculation to figure out what the next sequence was and how to get through it as efficiently as possible, but does it through that section. Just shows what these guys have got in front of them. Always got to be thinking. Hidemasa really struggling with the sequences a little bit here, looking for all sorts of different options with the feet. That's the method he wants, bumping up the left hand to the top hold. This is good climbing now, but it's slowed down a little bit. Time's not really going to be an issue in terms of timing out. Time may be an issue in terms of where he ends up placing. But is it going to come down to that for Hindermaster? So he really seems to be struggling a little bit. Into this top section then. Zanderwalla matched this hold. He goes for the match, tucks in, ends up going up with the left hand. Oh, that's staggering the way he's managed to do that. Doesn't go for the cross through at all, gets the match, goes up with the left hand. Now he's going to have to match with the next hold.
And just to give you some idea, there is the top. I was about to say that is the last quick draw before the top. That hold out to the left, the rounded one, is hold number 38. So Zanderwalla got hold number 40. That's the first of those two small holds just below the final one. Hidemasa Nishida taking the opportunity to shake out. A top would make it official here. It would put him at the top of the rankings for now.
Here he goes in up to this next hold. Still got 1.5 more moves to do to match the American. This is looking good. Now he takes the pole position into first position. Is he going to find the top? Oh! Went for the top hold, came up short on the volume, took a last-ditch jump for it. That was a really cool burn with 2 climbers still to come. Could come down to the last move to see who takes away the win here in Youth B.
Yeah, that will be the lead for Hidemasa Nishida. He'll be watching with bated breath, as will Zanderwalla. Zanderwalla bumped down to second place now. He maybe bumps off the podium altogether. Not much he can do at this stage. Superb effort from him, only a couple of moves off the top.
This men's route is really putting on a fantastic show for you guys at home and the local crowd here. There we have it. Hidemasa Nishida.
41 plus for him, Zanderwalla 40 plus, and Ray Kawamasa, the winner of the bouldering in this age group, 36 plus.
So in terms of the show, this is what in the route setting game, if they find third place gets close to the last hold, second place hits the last hold, and first place nails the last hold, it would be the perfect competition. Can they do it? Have they got it just right? And they are really living on the edge of their seats here, putting on routes that are potentially slightly too easy, gone for the super show. It's the American out now. Colin Duffy put an incredible performance in the semi-final. Dug deep from early on in the route. A real fighter. Let's see what he can do. Much shorter than the previous couple of athletes. Is that going to pay to his favour or to his disadvantage? It's Colin Duffy then, the penultimate climber out in the Youth B competition in the finals here in Innsbruck.
Evocative music now from the DJ, thankfully for the sake of everyone's stomachs and electronics. The bass now toned down slightly. And Colin Duffy underway in this Youth B men's final. He was tied on 38 plus with Alberto Lopez, who will be out after him.
Really neat route reading through that volume section there, matched it, flipped the left hand to an undercut and rolled up to the next hole. That's really wise climbing from such a young head. Team USA put a lot of effort into these young athletes, and you can see it pays off there moving through this next volume. And if you guys have climbed on these volumes at home, you'll know how bad they are on conventional hard boulder problems. Never mind in the middle of a route here in the final on such a steep wall. Now he gets into the good one of the three, the undercut. Looking pretty happy up there at the moment.
It's a high pressure situation for him. The women have already finished. He is alone on the wall in the spotlight in Innsbruck, a legendary climbing town, home to some of the greatest climbers in the history of the sport, and here he finds himself under the lights, the crowd cheering him on. Big crowd now here in Innsbruck, and he's not wasting any time, perhaps aware that time could be critical. The only climber that he is tied with from the semi-final is the man who will follow him.
Colin Duffy taking it all in his stride there, had to make a big move up. Crowd held their breath for a little bit there because he's such a short climber. Oh, a little bit of showboating there from Colin. Hangs it with one arm. All 3 points off. Just hangs there, takes in the crowd, takes a moment. Crowd love a bit of showboating.
Yeah, his compatriot Kyle Leitner gave us some of the best showboating we've seen for ages in the bouldering final earlier on this week. Colin Duffy, he won't mind too much about the show, but he can win this competition here, make no mistake about it.
Interestingly, he went up with the right hand there rather than left hand first. Shows that he's got some serious power in that small frame of his. Now it gets difficult. Now this is where the route really starts. Bumps up again. The big tick mark showing him the way. No issues with the tick marks rubbing off at all. Route setters have put some big stripes on to show the way for the routes. Obviously black holes and black volumes that we were talking about earlier. Can Colin Duffy show us some of that insane endurance he showed in the semi-final round then? Takes on more chalk. This is looking really good. Oh, he just loses his feet. Got to regain his composure a little bit here. Looking strong and looks like he's got some still to offer. Another big move up. This is good work from Colin.
Don't want to get ahead of myself, but he's not tied. He is ahead on countback of Hidemasa Nishida. So if he can match Hidemasa's high point, he will take the lead here. 41 plus was where we saw Hidemasa fall. If you get any higher than that, you've topped the route.
Incredible burn here from Colin. Here we go then into the top section. Crowd really loving this, really noisy. Goes for the top hole, lines it up, doesn't move the feet, sticks it with one hand, showboats. Yes, what a moment, brilliant work from Colin. Have some of that.
Amazing moment from Colin Duffy. Launched himself with the left hand. It looked an awfully long way, but he landed it, celebrated before he'd even clipped the rope. Remember, he has to clip the rope before he comes back down.
Crowd are on their feet for him. Put on a fantastic show, celebrated in the middle of the route, celebrates at the top of the route.
Amazing reaction from him. What a feeling that must be. And the Innsbruck crowd don't quite know what to do with that one. Well, Alberto Lopez now will come out. He was tied with Colin Duffy in the semi-finals. If he can top the route, it will come down to time.
Yeah, obviously he's not going to know that at this stage. Team USA are really high-fiving each other on the far side of the arena, all giving themselves hugs. That was a great show from the incredible athlete, just one of the shortest in the competition, and the way that he smashed that route was super inspiring. There you can see it, Colin Duffy with a top. Hidemasa Nishida 41 plus, and Xander Waller also from Team USA in 40 plus. They're the top three at the moment with one climber still to come. Alberto from Spain, like Charlie said, if he finds a top, then it's going to come down to time. So this is it. Will we see a time situation to decide the Youth B finals? The last climber out in the final action here tonight.
So looking very tight here in this men's competition. We're trying to find out the official time for Colin Duffy. It's no good me timing it on my phone. We need the official time. We'll then be able to keep a track on how Alberto gets on. Let's not get too carried away with ourselves, but we have just seen the route topped. It can be done. Colin Duffy's already done it. Alberto, I'm sure knows what just happened. Here he is with a chance to win here in Innsbruck.
With the volume in the arena raised that high, surely Alberto's going to know what he's got to do. He's got to top, and he's got to top, and he's got to top in the right amount of time. Do you wonder what he's going to be focusing on? Is he going to be focusing on top? Is he going to be focusing on the time? Can he factor both things at once? Or is he just going to climb his natural way and kind of hope for the best? Really interesting psychology now here, the final climber out.
I'm inclined to say you just have to climb it your way. But by the same token, if you're in two minds about whether or not to take a rest, don't take one. I don't think you can think too much about adjusting your style with a couple of minutes notice. I suspect he'll just have to climb it as he would have done anyway, but as I say, every now and then, instead of pausing, he might just go for it. But by the same token, you can't be too gung-ho. You can't just lunge for every move. As you say, Mike, it's such an interesting psychological challenge for him.
I think if he heard lots of screams throughout the competition, knowing that lots of people got to the top, I think he would consider time more often. But if it's just one climber, and it's the previous climber, someone like Colin, who equalled his position in the semi-final with 38 plus coming through to the final, I think he'll just concentrate on his own game, just concentrate on the route itself, try and get yourself a top, and then see what happens with the time.
Yeah, very much an all-rounder. Alberto only missed the final in the bouldering by 1 position, 7th there. Been under 11 seconds on the speed wall. We're seeing this more and more. The climbers can do everything. This man absolutely can win this competition. Time will be crucial. Colin Duffy is currently leading the way. He topped the route. Below him, Hidemasa Nishida on 41 plus, Xander Waller on 40 plus, and Alberto Lopez powering his way through the lower section, seemingly untroubled.
Just having a little look at the sequence here. He actually jumped to that hold that he's now got with his left hand. Seen a lot of climbers go down and match that lower hold. Cross sequence here, manages to make it work. Different beta that we've seen other climbers use. Maybe that's the nerves there, or maybe that's just the way he read the route in the observational period. Now he goes up high to the left hand. We're into the top third of the route now. DJ changes the music. It's all about this now, the top third of the route. Can Alberto find a top? And will it be in enough time?
Yeah, he's really into the meat of it now. All but 2 climbers got to hold 34. That's where he's currently got his left hand. But after that, it really got tough. He crosses through with the left hand. How will he do this next move? We've seen several different variants. We've seen it matched, but now we've also seen it cross through. He's been climbing, by my watch, around 3 minutes. The crowd going absolutely crazy here in Innsbruck. Alberto fighting with all he's got. Goes through with the right hand. He is absolutely on his limit here. Once again, absolutely at the limit of his strength. He's only got 2 more moves. He'll go up with the right hand. There it is. Can he land with the left? It's a good hold he's going for. He cannot. He slips off it. And he will take second place. Colin Duffy is a Youth B world champion in league climbing here in Innsbruck. What a final.
What a final in the men's end. High fives for the route setters. That was absolutely brilliant. Here we have a final look. He fighting so hard at the end. Hits the finish hold, has it in his hand and slips off. We've said earlier that's the perfect game for the route setter. Number 2 hits the hold and slips off. Number 1 hits the hold and wins. The perfect competition in the men's. Slightly too easy in the women's with 3 tops. A great finals, a little bit easier as I was saying in the women's category, but great climbing nonetheless, and the perfect competition in the Youth B men. Hats off to the route setters, a good evening's work from there. There you can see it, Team Japan 1, 2, 3, Mori tops, Natsuki Tani tops, and Fatabi Aito also tops.
Yeah, Camille Pouget just missed out Saki Kikuchi, Luce Duardi, Lucy Watillon and Vanda Michalkova rounding out the top 8. Men's competition very tight, just 1 top. It was Colin Duffy. Alberto Lopez had his hand on the top holder, and it is a good hold, but he just ran out of juice just at the last second. Colin Duffy, we saw him going absolutely crazy as he topped the route, and he will take gold here.
For me, that was a fantastic final. It really had a World Cup senior kind of vibe about it. Great show, great performance from everybody. It was really, really good fun.
Yeah, and we've got plenty more lead climbing coming up for you tomorrow. Mike, thank you very much for your company today. 3 wonderful events, 3 more coming tomorrow. We'll see you then. Don't forget, we will be live streaming the Podium, so stay with us if you'd like to watch those, and we'll see you tomorrow.
After that, we will have the awarding ceremony. Women's coming up next. Men coming up next. And tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, we start at 12 by noon with the semi-finals Youth A. Followed at 7 p.m. with the finals Youth A. And at 8:30, the Leeds finals Junior. So we have 2 finals tomorrow, Youth A and Junior.
I'm Jakob Schubert, I'm from Innsbruck, Austria, and I'm a professional climber. I started when I was 12 years old, and I got asked to try out for the team because I look like a talented climber. So I guess yeah, I wasn't too bad. And yeah, obviously it started slow. I didn't like climb 8C from the first day on, but like I said, there were a lot of other strong people and other really motivated climbers to train with, and that always kept me really psyched, and I improved every month. Competing and climbing outdoors is two different things. Climbing outdoors is not only about like really trying really hard all the time, it's also about having a good time with friends and seeing new places on our beautiful planet, and yeah, getting to know new cultures and traveling. And obviously sometimes it's also about trying something really hard and trying to reach your limit, which you don't or do in another way in a competition. I also really like competing, because you're also traveling a lot. You're like with your team, you get to know a lot of international friends, and I've always been an ambitious person, and competing is what I love as well. There are so many different things I like about climbing. Like one huge aspect is that you never really can get bored of it, because I feel like every day you do a new movement, or you find like some new hold, a new structure of rock, and like this you can't really get bored of it. And it's there are also so many different ways how to do climbing. Like you can do bouldering, you can do lead climbing, you can do multi-pitch track climbing. There are like so many different ways. So I feel like when I'm like sick of lead training, I don't know, I do bouldering. If I'm like sick of that rock climbing crack, I drive to another one, and like this you can always have fun. I guess life is about having fun and being happy, and I'm really happy climbing that much, so I don't really think of stopping at all, or probably never. And I mean, some dreams are definitely still doing well in competitions, trying to get world champion again, but then also outdoors, trying to like set my limit even higher, maybe climbing something harder, also opening up new routes, maybe even finding a new crack that no one ever found before. That's some things that I have never done before. Also like bolting new routes. Haven't really tried that out. Yeah, there's so much.
Everything getting prepared. Our guest is honored already arrived. Maria Scolari, the IFSC president. Arjen Borgia, the president of the Ocean Climbing Federation. And Andreas MacArthur, the president of the Ocean Alpine Club. Our guest of honor arrived to hand over the medals to the new world champions, UP. ladies and gentlemen, two fun decisions here on Saturday, the very first combined decision. That will be the top 6 of men and women come together to go up for 3 more challenges: speed, lead, and boulder, and all these results will be summed up in one result, and we have a new combined champion, an overall champion of all 3 categories. It's male and female, Youth B, Youth A, and Junior. And this will be also part of the Youth Olympic Games in Buenos Aires 2018 and in Tokyo 2020 at the Olympic Games. So watch out the upcoming Saturday for the very first world premiere of combined climbing here to Innsbruck. And we're expecting the arrival of the medalists. If the appeal time is done, we will come out with the awarding ceremony. We take our time for the appeal. Now we will start the awarding ceremony. And ladies and gentlemen, in the meantime, I want to call out our guests of honor in time of appeal, so to get a little impression how they think about tonight's fun, ladies and gentlemen. The IFSC President, Marco Maria Scolares. The President of the Austrian Climbing Federation, Dr. Ian Borcha. And President of the Austrian Alpine Club, Dr. Andreas Ermacora. All 3 arrived there. Well done and thanks for coming. Mr. President, the final. Was it like the final you preferred?
Well, it was a lot of fun. I think it was a great show. It's fantastic. When you see how our athletes performing with all those long races, it's more. It's amazing. It's fun.
What do you think about the performance of Colin Duffy? 30 years young, and now he's on the uppest level of the podium.
Yeah, I think that the result also was not so tall at the moment.
Coming up as one of the tallest, Ian Borcher, as president of the Austrian Climbing Federation. Innsbruck tells the world that 24 competitions within 12 days is possible. You feel like being a little bit out of energy, or is it now focused to bring out the best till Sunday?
I think we are on a good way. We did a lot, and we will also manage the last one.
So you think positive that on Sunday we finish up with 24 decisions and all the medalists? Thanks for your help so far, and Andreas Ermacora being part of that here in Innsbruck. tell me one reason why they all should come back to get an impression of the climbing paradise Tirol.
I think everybody who is here today has seen, and this week has seen what wonderful city Innsbruck is, and this location here is one of the beautiful locations of the world, and I'm looking very forward for next year when the championship will participate in Innsbruck.
10 more days of world-class climbing here in Innsbruck. Thanks again, MacArthur, with, the overall World Championships coming up next, 2018. And coming up next, Magnus Polaris is the combined competition. It will be part of the Youth Olympic Games and the Olympic Games. What do you expect for the Saturday? It will be the world premiere, the very, very first time we do a thing like this.
Well, it's an occasion to test this format that we have not tested before. So in order to be really ready for the Youth Olympics next year and the Olympics next year here in England.
Can you sum up in very short sentences how it works, the combined competition?
Well, actually, the story is very simple. When the International Olympic Committee gave us a ticket for Tokyo 2020, then we were given one medal. And then, of course, we wanted to combine all the disciplines because we didn't want to leave any discipline behind, and we wanted to be ready for all the others. It was relatively in a simple way. You multiply the ranking in each discipline, and then you make the final ranking with that. And the important thing this Sunday is that out of the 20 who is participating in the combined, 14 will qualify for Buenos Aires next year.
Let's go. 13 tickets to Buenos Aires. And as Marco Maria Scolaris explained, you multiply all the results, lead, speed, and boulder. So if you're first in lead and first in boulder, and you got a 5th place in speed, it's a 1 multiplied by 1, multiplied by 5, you got the 5. And so you sum up each result, and at the end, you have the new combined world champion. And now, we are ready. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the awarding ceremony for the IFSC Youth World Championships Leads Youth B. Please welcome the medalists of female Youth B, presented by the IFSC President, Marco Maria Scolaris, accompanied by the President of the Ocean Climbing Federation, Dr. Eugen Burcha, and President of the Ocean Alpine Club, Dr. Andreas Ermacora. Here are the medalists. The bronze medal, representing Japan, goes to Ito. The medal is handed over by Marco Maria Scolaris, and this is our bronze medalist, Ito. The 2nd place and silver medal goes to Japan, Natsuki Tani. The medals from Marco Maria Scolaris and the trophy handed over by Andreas Ermacora to Natsuki Tani. And ladies and gentlemen, the gold medalist and 2017 Innsbruck IFSC Youth World Champion of Youth B Leagues, representing Japan, Mori. The gold medal handed over by Marco Maria Scolaris and the trophy for the new youth world champion from MacArthur, it's Mori, Japan. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you all stand. I invite you to remove your hats in honor to the world champion, the new youth world champion, Mori, the national anthem of Japan. The new youth world champion, Japan. On the face, Japan on the second, Japan on the third. These are our medalists. Tani and Mori. That's for the ladies. And coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, awarding ceremony made. Youth B leads at the IFSC Youth World Championships. Please welcome the medalists. The medals are ready. The trophies are ready, ladies and gentlemen. The bronze medal representing Japan, Hinamasa Nishida. Medal is handed over by the IFSC president, and the trophy is handed over to the president of the Ocean Time Federation, Dr. Portia. This is Hinamasa Nishida. At the second place and silver medal, representing Spain, Alberto Guinness Lopez. Congratulations, Alberto! And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the moment of truth. The gold medalist and 2017 Innsbruck IFSC Youth World Champion of Youth B Leagues, representing the United States of America, Duffy! In Deutsch würde man sagen, auf Augenhöhe. Congratulations, Colin Duffy and lecturers of Western University, China. And now, ladies and gentlemen, in honor to the winner, Colin Duffy, please remove your hats once more. This is the national anthem of the United States of America.